Welcome to Kitty Unfiltered. My name is Kitty, and this is This Week on Trial 3, The Verdict. This is where I go over the products that I tried at the beginning of the week, and after a week of trying them, give you the verdict on how they did. So this week is a very Tarte heavy week. I have a Tarte event coming up at work, so I thought it best to get familiar with as many parts of the brand as I could. So we'll start with the Tarte Timeless Smoothing Primer. Then the Tarte Amazonian Clay BB Illuminating Moisturizer. Then the Tarte Amazonian Clay BB Tinted Moisturizer SPF 20 in the shade Light. The Tarte Shape Tape Contour Concealer in the shade Light. From the Tarte Rainforest After Dark Colored Clay Eye and Cheek Palette, we'll be using the bronzer in Park Avenue Princess, blush in color Unleashed, and the highlighter in Champagne. Our one non-Tarte product, the Kat Von D Shade and Light Contour Palette Contour Color in Somber. The Tarte Tarteist Pro Amazonian Clay Eyeshadow Palette featuring 16 mattes and 4 shimmers. The Tarte Tarteist Pro Double Take Eyeliner. And finally, the Tarte Tarteist Lash Paint. Okay, starting with the Tarte's Timeless Smoothing Primer. This stuff is a little intimidating whenever you first try to put it on because it's kind of tacky. It's almost a bit like a paste. And you're like, yeah, this is gonna not do anything, or it's gonna be too thick and not smooth out, or it will smooth out, but then as soon as I put any liquid on top of it, it's just gonna pill up. But it actually is none of those things. It is quite a delight to work with. It almost feels like there's just like a little barrier between you and the harsh, nasty mid-Atlantic winter that's looming to take you and your skin hostage. Now for the Amazonian Clay BB Illuminated Moisturizer, or Illuminating Moisturizer, not illuminated. So this gives my skin just a slightly more healthy, lit from within look, which is again nice with this crappy winter coming up. For the Amazonian Clay BB Tinted Moisturizer, excuse me while I borrow my viewfinder, I start by putting that on with my hands, but then I take this Real Techniques foundation brush that's kind of like those Artis oval brushes. This has worked with any foundation at all that I have put on. It doesn't matter if it normally uses a foundation brush, normally use my finger, normally use a beauty blender. This thing clears everything out, makes it work. Can't recommend it enough. Next, I take a little of my ever trusty Urban Decay Anti-Aging Primer Potion. I don't know if I say ever trusty because it's basically the only thing I use because I have a couple tubes of it I want to get used up. But, you know, it hasn't really let me down in anything so far. I don't really know how anti-aging it is. But as far as just a regular primer, seems to work good for me. So since I have extra time today, and today is the last day of the trial, I'm finally going to get up the nerve to try the bottom row. Since there's not a highlight or all over color in this row, I'm going to be using the cream color from the top row in Classic with Indie, Bold, Edgy, Punk, and Trendy. Using a Sephora Fluffy Crease brush, I'll be putting the cream color Classic all over my eyelid. I keep forgetting to turn off my heater when I'm filming. I'll turn it on between like the little filming and then when I have to stop for a minute and do something, and then I'll forget to turn it back off again once I resume filming, so you get this nice fun noise in the background. Next, I'll be using the Sephora Pro Featherweight Crease number 38 to work the shade Indie onto the hood of my eyelid. So the hood is kind of what other people would call a transition area, but for me it's more like specifically, I guess it's kind of above the transition area and before the brow. There's like this little flap of skin there that I like to put just a kind of a basic matte color on to make it sink back a little, so it's hopefully not quite as prominent. Using a Sephora Pro Tapered Crease number 19, I'll be putting the color Bold into the crease of my eye. So as for Black Friday, it was only my third day actually on the floor. I had spent 2 days doing a couple hours on cash wrap, but my job I was hired for was Prestige Beauty, which is actually on the floor, helping people color match, finding eyeshadows, blush, primers for their skin type, all of that good stuff. So Black Friday was my third day of doing this, and I had actually missed my training day because we had this freak blizzard that came up out of the middle of nowhere, and I couldn't go in the day I was supposed to do my training day. Thankfully, there was one of the girls a couple days later who needed someone to cover her shift. So I at least got another shift in, otherwise it would have just been my second day on the floor. Next, I'll be using the Morphe M507 to work the color Edgy into my crease and outer V, and I will be blending that out with the Sephora pointed crease brush. So my day itself started off a little hectic. Thankfully, Starbucks was open early, and we are right across the road from a Starbucks. Went across the street to Starbucks, ordered my coffee and my breakfast sandwich, because I got there at like 5:30, so I had plenty of time to order, eat, and get back across the street. Haha, that rhymed again. I'm getting so good at that. But anyway, so I went there, could not find my debit card. Could not find it anywhere. I was like, are you kidding me? I got up early. So I was like, no, I budgeted extra time for this. This could not be happening. I'd already ordered my stuff, couldn't pay for it. So I'm standing there in line at Starbucks, and I saw the sign that said Apple Pay. Well, I'd never used Apple Pay before, but I'd signed up to do like a parking pass thing that I could just pay on my phone. So I'm like, all of my card information is stored in my phone. If I can just figure out how to do this, then I can just go ahead and pay for everything and it'll be okay. And so yes, the girl at the counter, she actually sat there and helped me and was very nice. And we figured out how to get my Apple Pay up and running, so I got to pay for everything. Although by this time, I was already running like 5 minutes behind what I wanted, because I wanted to be like actually in Ulta no later than 5:40, so I'd have time to eat my sandwich, clock in, and get ready to do our little pre-door opening brief. So I ended up getting back across the street at like 5:43, and of course I had to clock in at 5:45. So I was sneaking bites of sandwich as I was, you know, putting on my name tag and putting on my brush belt and getting the walkie and all of that stuff. So my day already didn't start off the best. And then I went to get my water bottle. Water bottle wasn't there. I'm like, crap, I left my water bottle at Starbucks. And it's a really nice fancy water bottle. Somebody's gonna pick that dang thing up and run off with it. So I'm calling Starbucks. They're like with 15 seconds to spare of when I had to be out on the floor, and nobody is answering. And I'm like, are you kidding me? So later in the day, you know, I had a 15-minute break. I called Starbucks again. Nobody was answering. I'm like, what in the world? I double checked my numbers, all that stuff. So finally I was like, hey, can someone pat me down? Because anytime you go in the back room, you have to be patted down before you can leave, or they go through like your pockets on your coat and all that stuff. So I can run across to Starbucks, get over there, water bottle's not there, can't find it. I'm like, are you kidding me? So now I have lost my ID, my debit card, and my water bottle all in the same morning. So the non-work part of my day was going a little hectic. Next, I'll be using the color Punk to define my outer V using the Morphe M506 and blending it out with the Sephora pointed crease. So one of the moments that stood out to me on the floor was this lady who came up. She had a young kid in her arms. She was terminally ill. They were spending the weekend with her husband's family, and she's like, I don't have any time. She's like, I have 3 young children. I don't have the energy or the time or even the inclination to put in a lot of effort. She was looking for like just an easy foundation she could use and maybe like a cream blush or something, and she wanted an eyeliner and a mascara that she wouldn't even have to take off. Like, she wanted waterproof, so when she washed her face at night, they might come partially off, but not completely, and the next day she would just throw on another layer and go, because she didn't have time to mess with it. She didn't want to mess with it. And I was just like, oh, are you kidding me? This poor lady, younger than me, terminally ill, just trying to, you know, have 3 kids and her husband and go to his family's, and her whole worry for the weekend was she just didn't want to look like she was dying. That kind of floored me a little, and I was so thankful and grateful to have that opportunity to help someone in that situation. And I'm just gonna press the trendy color over my lid with my finger. because that seems to be what works best for these shadows. But anyway, yeah, so I was there for 6 hours and I really enjoyed it. And there were other moments with the like elderly people or people who were sick or so-and-so couldn't come. So there were a few like heartfelt moments of people, you know, trying to get stuff around for the holidays. And there were other funny moments as well. So all in all, I mean, it was my first ever time being in retail doing Black Friday. And it was, I mean, it was exciting. It was fun. Like I said, it would have its highs and lows like any other day, but work-wise, I never had a low. I never had a low as far as my job. Okay, got the fallout cleaned up and re-moisturized, so I'm ready to move back on. So anyway, moral of the story is I had a great time working Black Friday at Ulta, even though I, you know, only worked a few shifts there. I was still very new. A side note, I have found out that the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer, it blends out better with a dry beauty blender. When you use a damp beauty blender, at least on me, since I don't set it with powder, it kind of gets this weird, I don't know, the consistency changes. Oh, and then to cap off, on my way out, you know, you have to kind of get like your coat patted down, and they have to check and make sure you have nothing in your pockets, and you have to have a plastic bag so they can make sure you didn't take anything out of the back with you. And as I was holding up my clear plastic bag that I had looked through a billion times, my ID and my debit card were right there in the bottom of it. The ones that I could not find earlier when I was at Starbucks and I thought I was not going to be able to get my breakfast or my coffee. The card was in the clear plastic bag the entire time that I somehow could not see. And then when I got out to the car, the water bottle was laying right there in the passenger seat. I'd never picked it up and brought it in like I thought I had. So. And with the contour, just using a Sephora 204 brush, the shape side of it, to go into my Kat Von D contour powder in Somber from the Shade and Light contour palette. Yeah, so anyway, everything so far is going really great at Ulta. You know, I'm so glad that, cause, you know, you see all the horror stories and people want to complain about everything. And the Ulta that I'm working at, nothing like that at all. But, oh, now I'm back into that Tarte Rainforest After Dark to use my, the bronzer and the blush and the highlight. Oh, back to reviewing the makeup. That's the whole point of this. Really love the primer. Primer is great. Love the moisturizer and the BB cream. The BB cream I'm not using up to like medium coverage like I could, but that's just a personal preference for me. If you wanted medium coverage out of it, you can get it. I'm just not that type of person, at least not at this part of my makeup career. The eyeshadow palette, like I said, I love that it's got kind of the quads that are already laid out across here, and then with the accent like shimmer color for each of them. I love this for travel. I still love this for when I want something easy, but after about the third day, like I was really excited to get into this palette and really use it, and then but by the third day I was kind of, I don't really want to say bored, but it was kind of, I don't know, it's just not inspiring. So if I want to actually have an artist moment, then the Tartist, which is kind of ironic, that for an artist moment, the Tartist is not where I would go, but it's a great, just basic, everyday for me, throw on and go. Like as far as the blush and the bronzer and the highlighter and like the eyeshadow colors themselves, and those all, I mean, I've had to wear my makeup for 12, 14 hours at a time so far this week. And all of that stuff stayed there great. I didn't have any problem with that. These eyeliners, also amazing. I just did the liquid liner there, but I can take the pencil end. It's almost like a gel texture, and I can, you know, tight line with them. I can do my waterline, any of the colors I've tried, and that stuff will sit there forever, all day. It's amazing. I have never had anything that stuck on my waterline as well as the pencil end of these double-ended Tarte eyeliners. It's just amazing. I've had people ask me about it at work. Oh, and that's another thing. I've had more people ask me at work the week I was using Tarte products, what's on your face? What's on your eyes? You know, what kind of mascara is that? What kind of eyeliner is that? I've had more people compliment me or ask me questions on my face than they have any other week. which I think speaks on its own to the effectiveness of the Tarte makeup and the Tarte makeup brand. Oh, and this mascara has been really good too. It hasn't been transferring, it hasn't been flaking. A couple coats does pretty decent with the thickness and the lengthening, so it's a pretty good basic mascara. Yeah, note to self, don't really do so much with the get ready with me. Maybe the partial get ready with me, where you just talk while you're doing one part of your makeup and not the full face, because you don't really have enough interesting stuff to say to pull off an entire get ready with me. Alright, so the rundown. My Tarte Timeless Smoothing Primer base. I love this stuff. I have sold many people this stuff in the past week, having them try it, and then they're like, yes, I see what you're saying about it. This stuff is amazing. Can't give it enough thumbs up. It feels like it would pill up once you put on other layers on top of it, but I've put on a moisturizer and a foundation over the top of it, and it hasn't pilled up at all, so that was great. As far as the Tarte BB Amazonian Clay Illuminating Moisturizer, I really like it. It works great for me. I don't think they sell this anymore, so it really doesn't matter. But I'm happy I have it, and I'm keeping the bottle. And if you see it come up online and you want something to add a little extra moisture and a little extra sparkle without affecting how your foundation lays on your skin, this stuff is really good. The Amazonian Clay BB Tinted Moisturizer. A little of this goes a long way. Again, I could get in there and make it medium coverage and cover up these spots, but I'm not going anywhere today, so I'm not going to try it. But just for regular, like, base face go on, super easy and look natural, this is really good at that, and it keeps my skin from getting all dried out and nasty. Tarte Shape Tape, yes, I see what the big deal is, why everybody loves it. The one thing, like, I don't set it with powder because I don't want to worry about all the crepey under eyiness. The one thing I will say is, for me, if I blend it out with a damp beauty blender, I don't know what the deal is. It gets some sort of crust, or it changes texture or something. It just doesn't look blended in. But if I smear it out with my fingers a little and then use a dry beauty blender to kind of massage it into place, then it works great. I wouldn't use the damp beauty blender though. That's not so good. The mascara, it's really good if you like dry formulas. Pick it up. If you don't like dry formulas, then don't. These double-ended eyeliners, cannot recommend these enough. The actual liquid eyeliner is really good. I haven't used a lot of liquid eyeliners, but it's as good as or better than any of the ones I've used. But it's the pencil end that's amazing for me. This thing will set down in your waterline, whether it's tight line or like the lower waterline, and you're not going to get that black gunk in the corner. You're not going to get it to where it fades out and kind of lands in your bottom lashes. It's going to sit where you put it for hours. That stuff is amazing. Mwah, to whoever came up with that formula. It's fantastic. The Tarte Pro eyeshadow palette. I was really looking forward to playing with this thing, and then once I started playing with it, I wasn't near as excited. I mean, it is good. The shadows are good. They do everything they're supposed to. Like I said, with the shimmers, if you have extra hooded eyes like I do, they might not get as long wear out of them as you do out of other things. But they're so pigmented. You saw that. Just a little bit goes a long way. They work great. They feel great on my skin, which is the main thing, because sometimes I end up doing eyeshadow twice a day, and I've never had an issue with them being itchy or irritating my skin at all, even when my skin was already kind of irritated. So it's a good formula, good product. It's just, it's great to just pick up and be like, I'm in a hurry, pick this up, pick a quad, put on some shimmer and go. That's great. But if you want to look at something and be, ooh, I'm inspired to do blah, 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 I don't really feel inspired to do this. I enjoy working with it, but it's not like, you know, when it's time to do my makeup every day that I'm like, ooh, what can I do today? What can I do today? I'm like, which row am I going to pick today? Because at my level of makeup, that's where I'm at. So it is a really good palette, but if you already have plenty of eyeshadow and you're just looking for something to kind of add extra to what you have, that's not it. But if you're still into like basic eyeshadow and you need a good basic palette with some fun pops of color, then I would recommend it for that. This little Tarte wheel with the blush and the, was it Unleashed, and then this Park Avenue Princess bronzer and my little highlighter here. All of these were good. The colors were fine. There's nothing special about the color, but the formula of these Tarte products are, I mean, they sit down, they stick. I can still see blush 6 hours later, or looking in a mirror, the blush looks the same color as it did when I put it on. So that, I guess it's because of the clay formula. This stuff just has really amazing staying power. And then finally, like the Kat Von D Shade Light Contour. Yeah, it did exactly what it's supposed to. It's fine. It's a contour powder. It went on good. It blended good. It matched good. It stayed on good. Nothing special about it, but nothing not special about it either. So all in all, final verdict is I really enjoyed everything about this Tarte line. I mean, there were some huge standouts, like obviously Shape Tape, that concealer, those eyeliners, and then just the clay formula, the lasting power in general was just great. Tarte's a great line to get into. I don't think you're going to be disappointed with it, especially if you're first getting into makeup, because it's so pigmented, it's all natural, cruelty-free, all the mineral oil and the phthalates and parabens and all of that stuff, it doesn't have any of that. So it's a really good all-natural product that's very pigmented and has really good staying powder throughout everything in their line. But it is going to be more for the people who want natural looks, not for people who want to do something dramatic. That's really the only difference that I see with it. But I'm really happy with it. I'm glad I tried this, you know, get to know Tarte week. I'm really confident now when I'm talking to customers about the Tarte products, when I'm talking about them about the upcoming event. And I'm just really happy. It was a great week, and I'm looking forward to what's next. But I just, you know, I would recommend Tarte in general to anyone who's just getting into makeup and wants something decent they can play with. I think it's a really good brand. So anyway, y'all have a happy day. Thank you for stopping in. I will see you next time. Bye.